social union got public. Okay. Oh my God.
You ready? Yeah. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us. I'm the Slumflower, real name Choudury, or Chidi, whichever one works for you, and I'm going to be your host for today. And this time we're going to be talking about why your weakness is your strength, and I can't even give the justice I want to give to the panelists we have here, because each of them have managed to utilize their weaknesses and turn it into the strength that's allowed them to come here today. So would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Me first, okay. Robyn Travis, author, writer, and scriptwriter, / youth worker, parent. Yeah, there's so much labels, but yeah, Robyn Travis, author.
My name's Hussain. I'm a poet. I write for the betterment of human life. I'm from Ilford. Oi! And I campaign for things that grab my heart.
Mm-hmm. My name is Choudury. I am an award-winning blogger, writer, and speaker.
My name's Yamin. I am a YouTuber, blogger, podcast co-host, and yeah.
My name is Yamin Choudury. I am a producer at the Hackney Empire, an event maker for diverse voices, ideas, stuff like that.
Yeah. So the thing about weakness is that we all have a different idea of what it is that makes someone weak. And I guess that idea tends to come from, your childhood and what your parents have told you makes you weaker, or that you've been made to feel ashamed of about yourself, and that tends to play out in your adult life as you grow up. And that influences the way that you navigate your career, or even the way you view yourself. And each of us on this panel have gone through something that has changed the way we view ourselves and has influenced the way that we speak to ourselves. And it's really important that you are conscious of how you speak to yourself, because your body is listening and your mind is listening, and you are the most important voice in your life. As someone that's a creative person, I have to always be vulnerable. That's the only way to actually be truly creative. You've got to be vulnerable. And the downside of being vulnerable is that it's a scary feeling, because you are letting go of your power and allowing something else to influence you in a way that will allow you to create. And that's not always easy to reach that point, but everyone on this panel has found a way to find the balance between being vulnerable but still being accountable at the same time. So, Yamin, tell me, how do you manage to tap into your vulnerability and make that something that makes you successful?
Well, for me, part of me trying to become successful was embracing my vulnerability and was learning to be comfortable with my own fear. So understanding that by taking risks and by potentially looking not how I wanted to appear all the time could be beneficial. For a long time, for many years, especially when I was younger, in my kind of early to mid-teens, there was a way of behaving that was acceptable and a way of behaving that was unacceptable. And that wasn't a framework that I had input into, if that makes sense. I was just conforming with what I thought I had to. So actually, when the light bulb moment happened, a big part of that was actually figuring out to accept difference in myself, and that I wasn't just part of the crowd. And that vulnerability was probably the bravest I've ever been when I didn't know anything about it. That first kind of leap of faith, almost. How I do that now on a day-to-day basis is always constantly be willing to learn and not trying to always be the final decision maker, embracing new inputs, and putting myself in positions where I'm challenged, consistent. That's the only way I find that I can clearly figure out how to next better myself, if that makes sense. But for so long I was static when I was younger. I was just kind of stuck in the same way of behaving and thinking, that now I do everything I can not to behave in that way.
Yeah, and I guess why we remain stuck in particular patterns is because it feels comfortable and it feels familiar. Whether it's beneficial to you or not, you still want to do it. So a lot of the time we keep ourselves in positions or environments that are actually stifling our growth because it's so familiar. And when you're familiar and used to something, it feels safe, whether it's actually helpful or harmful to you, it still feels safe. But the only way to grow, I guess, is to come out of what you consider safe and make new decisions that will, you know, test you, test your perspective, test your values, test what you believe in. That's the only way to actually strengthen your beliefs, by testing them. So Lucy, you're a YouTuber, and
I am.
that involves you putting yourself out there. Now, it is fun to be liked. It's nice. It's a good feeling to be liked. We can't even deny that. But at the same time, what's it like when you put your work out there, you put yourself out there, and you do receive feedback that isn't as nice? Because that, in a way, makes you feel weak and makes you feel out of control. How do you overcome that and, you know, maintain your sense of zen?
That's a really good question. It's interesting because when I started YouTube, I didn't get any negative feedback. I didn't get even any constructive criticism, but I hit a point last year where I was getting so much criticism that verged on hate. It's kind of like the flavour of what people say behind your back at school, except you hear it all. It was like I was getting so much of that I really had to sit down and reevaluate what was happening because it was taking such a toll on my mental health. And so I think, taking that time to sit down with myself and go, how am I going to deal with this, and how am I going to put my walls up, and it's very clear to me now what is constructive and what is trying to hurt me. And then trying to work out ways, like coping mechanisms basically, but on top of that, actual solutions. And I think I wish I'd known that I could do that in real life as well, because I just didn't realise that carries through. All of those techniques that you learn of how to deal with, I guess, when I was in school it was cyberbullying. I don't know if it still is. But all the techniques that you use to deal with that can just be applied to your daily life as well. Who do you leave your arms open to, and when do you shut the door?
Yeah. I do, but I agree, because I receive, oh my God, when I tell you the amount of criticism I get every single day, it's like, oh my God, guys, like, you're actually wasting your data looking at me. That's how annoying it's becoming. And I think that's what we don't understand or realize when you want to go into a career that involves you putting yourself out there. You don't actually know how to deal with it until it happens to you. And then you're like, oh my goodness, this is actually ridiculous. And my way of coping is remembering that people behave either out of love or fear, and that nothing anybody ever ultimately does is because of you. Like, they could be in a position where they're going through something, and the only way they know how to feel power or control over their lives is to make someone else feel hurt, because it gives them some sort of upper hand. But I think as a YouTuber, it's interesting because, you know, you are literally handing over your power in a way. You're handing yourself over and allowing people's judgment to exist, but ultimately it's about knowing yourself behind all that, behind the screen, behind the setup, knowing yourself and making sure that what you're doing holds value and what you're doing has a reason that surpasses YouTube or surpasses other people's opinions, or else you're going to just get lost in that, or you're going to become a slave to people's judgment, criticism and praise as well, because even praise can just be, it could be harmful too, because people should only be praising you, because then you become boxed in and then you feel like you have to perform for them and live up to their expectations and forget that you have to live up to your own expectations first. And speaking of expectations, Hussain,
How you doing?
How you doing? So Hussain basically is an incredible human being. He's a poet, he's a speaker. I feel like I've seen you on Good Morning Britain more times than I've actually watched Good Morning Britain. Like, that's how crazy it is. Like, he's just everywhere. But behind being such an outgoing guy and someone that knows how to connect with people and, you know, adapt to various environments, how do you manage to remain in tune with yourself when you're not, you know, burning energy trying to give to other people? Because being a poet and a speaker is a lot of giving. How do you give yourself back? Like, what do you give yourself?
That's a really interesting question. I think you have to always give yourself the realness, and you have to be honest and truthful to yourself 100% all the time, especially if you're in the creative industry. If you want to be a creative person, if you want to live like a freelance and you don't want to work for no one and you want to just do you, you have to do you. That is like, don't want to say the word lifestyle, but it is a lifestyle. You have to own it completely. And for me, that is saying no to, like, I don't want to meet no one for a coffee, do you know what I mean? I don't drink coffee. But like, language is an important thing to me. So if you were saying, no, let's go Nando's, that would be more appealing to me. And it automatically make me a lot happier. So I learned from early to say no to small things like that, because I don't want to go somewhere and spend money on food that I don't like to impress
Yeah.
people that I don't need to, who want to work with me.
Yeah.
So I just found that from early, just be truthful to yourself. And I kind of just really sussed it on, like, what would my mum say? Like, if I was going to do something, and like, if I was going to, you need to give yourself time off, otherwise you just burn out. And I'd be like, oh, what would my mum say to that? Or if I was going to go here, if I have to do this, what would she say? And that was always in my mind. But the other day, I also thought of something along the lines of, as an individual person, I think a lot of us on this panel are sole entities where you run your life as a business, and your business is your life. You have to be your own HR department. You have to be your own caretaker. You have to be the canteen. You have to be everything. The same way a big business runs, you have to adapt them traits and understand you need to do every single job in the building for you to run. It's not just about turning up on the stage, you know this, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's about handling all the other back-end things as well. So I guess I'd like to think I'm quite organised. I've got a diary. I just slot things in and make sure it makes sense.
Yeah. As someone that writes, right, how do you deal with knowing that you've put yourself into this work? Because when you're creating something, it's an extension of yourself. How do you deal with the feeling of handing over your work and giving someone the power to decide if your work is worthy or not? Because it almost feels like you're telling someone, it's like, almost like you're asking someone, am I worthy or not? Like, how do you separate yourself from your work in a way that allows you to still remain in tune with yourself?
I've been sitting here for the last few minutes thinking about how I was going to answer the other question that you asked everyone else. So now I'm sitting here in deep thought. My mind was actually focused on vulnerability, and it's everything I do in vulnerable. I'll answer the question, but just to focus on that point is stuck in my head, because I didn't ever come into this field other than to make a change. I never wrote a book with the intentions of sharing my personal stuff, making myself vulnerable to be seen as a writer. I didn't care about the author status. I'm vulnerable because I'm genuinely from a different world. The world I wrote about is the world that I'm from. So even writing in the first place is alien to the world that I'm from. And they see that as, why would someone write a story about not just their self, about what happened in the streets when he was growing up? Why would somebody who was respected highly in the streets, show a vulnerable side to them? If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling a story in Prison to the Street, my first book, about how I got caught up in the streets, because I was sick and tired of other stories not explaining what it meant to be a prison to the streets. So I became vulnerable just from telling the story.
Yeah.
Sitting on panels is not a world that I'm used to.
Yeah.
In primary school, I was asked if I wanted to be a part of school plays, Oliver Twist. I said no to that. I said no to Out for Dodger. I said no to the little singers in the background. I was always a shy individual. I was always a reserved individual. And I had to look past probably more than most people vulnerabilities to put myself in a position just to make a change.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, it's never been about success. It's been about saving lives. It's been about stopping people from getting stabbed, shot.
Yeah.
It's been about having two friends buried in the same room. A man apart by the age of 18. But a couple of years ago, he was in a house playing FIFA.
Yeah.
It's so deep that I can't look to my work. The first book I did was anything to do with success, but vulnerability, understand.
Yeah.
Because you challenge not only a mindset, you challenge the people. I got stabbed across the road. These are my enemies here. I used to use
You
knives
got stabbed?
many a times in the first book. So I tell a story about streets and how we became prisons to the streets. And to be telling your story to the world, even your enemies, to express how you really felt when they saw you as a serious guy.
Mm-hmm.
On paper, he's a serious guy. But you didn't see the hurt that a child experienced. And I had to make myself vulnerable because shows like Top Boy are not doing it. Kidulthood are not doing it. No one in the industry is doing it. So I came to change the game at the same time. And how do you tell a story when you show the child before the teenager listening to grime running downstairs with his hoodie on? You have no empathy for that individual because you can't relate to his struggle or how he became to carry on with certain behaviors.
Yeah.
So I had to strip myself of everything and face the world, face the critiques of the street while living in London Fields, writing about London Fields. It was, so for me, success on that first question that's already asked, I just can't even really answer that question.
Yeah.
It's never been about success. Vulnerability, I've never met anyone who's been as vulnerable as me in the journey that I'm now. As for the second book, now I'm understanding that, to answer your question, I could hand a piece of work to my publisher. When she looks at it with the second book, it's not so personal because it's not my life. Mama Can't Raise No Man is a novel. I can disconnect from it.
Yeah.
I can take criticism all day, as long as it's positive. I don't
Yeah.
mind. It just works. It's only a piece of art. Not everyone's going to like you as a person. Not everyone's going to like your work. So yeah, I don't have a problem with that side.
Yeah.
Yeah, to answer your question.
Thank you. You mentioned overcoming being shy, and I feel like in the past when I've been shy for certain things, it's come from me actually believing that I don't deserve it, and that then feeds into self-doubt and self-sabotage and imposter syndrome. As creative people, I feel like we've all at some point dealt with imposter syndrome. And for those who don't know what imposter syndrome is, it's basically when you're given an opportunity or you find an opportunity and you think, I don't want to go for it anymore, I don't want to go for it at all because I feel like I'm not good enough.
Sorry, could I just interject just quickly? I know this is really off. A lot of the times it's being scared of your own greatness. It's not being shy because you don't. I've been special from young. Football, anything I put my hands to, and it's not just me. There's a lot of people going downhill because they know they're great. They don't want to be seen as great. It's overwhelming to be great. Nelson Mandela said it. It's success that we fear.
Yeah.
You're thinking, who am I to not be this great? You know what I'm saying to you? That's what it is, but I don't want to take too much.
No, that's a really valid point though, because it is true. I think we all have greatness in us, but then because it's so overwhelming to think about what that greatness can do to the world and for the world, you just rather just choose the easy option, which is to just not do anything at all.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
Hussain, how do you manage to deal with imposter syndrome and deal with becoming overwhelmed by how incredibly great you are? He's actually so great. Sometimes I'm overwhelmed. I'm like, I can't be around you anymore. You're actually too much.
I just have to say, I met Choudury. First time I met her, we toured America together with the government.
The US government approached us. Flew us out to America for 12 days.
And there was a moment on the trip, where I wowed out. We went to American Airlines, and they sat us in a room. No, we was going up in the lift, and it was me, Choudury, and a few other creative people. And the head of marketing at American Airlines wanted to discuss their strategies or campaigns with us. And as the lift's going up, I'm thinking, hold on, they're trying to pick my brain for consultancy. They need to be paying me for these ideas. So as soon as the lift stopped, I said, Choudury, can you use your Wi-Fi? I'm calling an Uber, I'm going home. And I made a big scene about it. I was like, if you want to tap into my brain and access what's going on in here, which has caused me detrimental suffering in my life, you need to pay me money for it. Otherwise, why am I going to give it to you? Because this is all I have at the end of the day, and it's all we have.
Value what you bring to the table.
It's all we, exactly. And I'm trying to tell myself these days, listen, I am the table. So that's
he doesn't even want to see it. He wants to actually become the table.
I am the table. That's it. And you have, like, I feel like it's funny, because I was looking at my dad today, and my parents run a kebab shop, and my dad always wanted to be an actor, but he never did it. And when I ask him why, he won't even answer it. But I can just see the doubt and the fact that he feels like he doesn't deserve it or he doesn't belong there. And now I'm just thinking, okay, no, I need to, especially for like the British Pakistani community, I feel like I need to change it big time because we're underrepresented hugely, and what you do see of us in the media is bad. So yeah, I just kept, like, you've seen it. I just come to a point where I'm like, as a person, your mind is your most valuable thing, and if somebody wants to access that, they should pay for it. Gone are the days of working for expenses or doing things for free. Like, even if it, like, no offense, but even if it's for a charity, like, I get approached by a lot of charities to do stuff for free, and I can't fathom the thought of me giving everything in my brain to a boardroom full of people that are on a salary.
True.
And I come to a point of thinking, okay, everyone in this room is getting paid but me, but I'm giving you everything. There's a problem here. And then in the past it's happened to me, and then I just kind of found myself being on the back end that I feel like, yeah, I've done something really good because I've helped these people, but then no one helps you.
Yeah.
And that's, you have to hold yourself high enough to say, listen, I will help you, but you need to help me, and this, you need to find that inner part, and it's hard, man.
Yeah, I think
like,
it comes from valuing yourself enough to even reach that point, because some people aren't even having this conversation with themselves, and it comes again from how much do you value yourself? How much do you value what you have to offer? Because for people to approach you, it means they see value in you. So then that's now your turn to now turn the conversation around and be like, what value do you have to offer me? Because sometimes it's not even always about money. And I've learned that from Hussain, actually.
yeah.
I've learned a lot of negotiating skills from Hussain, where sometimes people will approach you, especially charities. People will approach you and they'll be like, oh, can you do this? Oh, and this as well for me. But by the way, there's no budget, because it's a charity. And then you'll be like, oh my God, I feel bad because it's a charity. But then you remember that charities still have access to other things that can help you in your own career. So then you start to negotiate, like, okay, if
like
I
they
can't...
have a PR department or other big ambassadors that they do photo shoots with them.
Are you going to put me on your mailing list? Like, because your mailing list has about 100,000 people. Will you mention me and put my social media handle on your mailing list? Or, you know, are you going to...
Can I just interrupt or very quickly say, because I agree with what both of you have said, but I need to refine that statement a little bit for me.
Kind of with Yamin
because
I feel that.
No, because I've worked as a consultant for 2 people on this panel for free, because I cared so much about their idea as if it was my own. I don't say he's laughing because he's exactly what I'm saying. But I care so much about other people's ideas and loves and wants and how much they want to share what is just going on in here or in here, that I'm willing to do whatever it takes to break every single set of rules and boundaries to make that happen. And that's how I found my success. That doesn't always equal financial gain. That doesn't always equal me being at the front of the stage talking and making my point of view. But when I raise up my brothers and sisters around me to be able to voice their opinions and their ideas of what our futures can be like, that is my success right there. And I will do that for free every single day if I care and I believe in the people that I'm doing it for. So while I completely agree with what both of you are saying about knowing your worth and never being taken advantage of, especially by big business, regardless of whether it's a charity or not, I would also just add to that, that if you believe in something and you're passionate and you really feel strongly about something, neither money nor time or anything else should hold you back from achieving that. Had I let that affect me, in many ways, I wouldn't be here sitting with you today.
Yeah, of course.
So,
no, I agree with what
can I just add to that as well, because I know it's different fields at times as well, different fields we're facing, but me as an individual, I've done endless amount of things for free. And as a youth worker, you want to try to leave that field, you give your time, you become vulnerable again. Like Mark Prince, he's lost his son, Karen Prince, who got stabbed. Me and Mark Prince go around doing talks. I say to Mark, start calling me for talks. Because we're going to one school, doing a year 7 group, everybody's crying. Everyone's feeling us, they're moved, they don't want to live that life in the street. The government ain't funding us to take this around the whole of the UK, where we can smash this knife crime. We can go, they don't want that. It's a business, so I say to Mark all the time, be reserved, stop expressing how when you touched your son's dead hand, you felt the blood turn cold, because you have to keep making yourself vulnerable for these guys. I have to keep explaining the stab wounds. I don't want to keep going back, because they don't value us. You understand? They don't value that we can save lives. They don't, or help people, so not save, no, not Superman, you can only save yourself. That we can impact that change, so they know to to think this way rather than listen to certain rappers all the time who talk rubbish, who don't live, he didn't live that life, misguided him somewhere else. So I understand the concept of you get tired of doing things for free. When I first wrote my book, I was giving out books to kids for fun, in the hope that this book might save your life. I know these kids don't even read, so I've got to be like, I didn't read, take a book. But I'm the same guy that sat down, my children would bear witness, every night, no sleep, trying to put this together. Because the passion over read, it was never about success. So I understand a different field here, but at the same time, now I'm at a place where I'm like, okay, value me, do you know who I am? Now I'm at that place, but I still do lots of things for free. That will never change. There's never going to be a day where my publishers and the audience are arguing, my heart was moved, I had to give him that book for free. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Because I genuinely feel like, who am I at that moment to say no? Who am I to do talks where they want to pay me chump change for coming in, opening up and doing things that no youth workers can do? Having everyone's attention for the whole time talking. They don't value it. So at the same time, I was with you as well, but never ever stop being charitable because people ain't charitable to you. Remember, the industry's messed up. The only way you can change the industry is by being loved. Me and Yam work together, do book launches. Ask many celebrities come down and bless the stage. Oh, if you're not paying me this much, you're not paying me that much. Certain of these top boy actors were asked to come to youth clubs. I don't want to say no names, but certain top boy actors were asked to come to one of my friends' youth club, and it was like, 400 I'm charging. Huh? Word? I called Robyn Travis. This is the guy who was there when the post-Cold Wars first started. The first guy in Hackney to get stabbed. He's lived it, he went to uni, he studied youth justice criminology, and he's an author. But you must get 400. Because you acted in a show that you never lived that life. And you depicted it totally wrong. So you've given a misconception of who we are anyway. So you further confuse the people. So yeah. I'm done, sorry, I just get a bit.
You don't have to apologise. It's a very important conversation and it's a very valid perspective. And I think the fact that you mentioned vulnerability a lot, I feel like we don't value vulnerability as much as we should anymore. And that's the problem we're having here, that vulnerability isn't being handled correctly. Because it takes a lot, you have to take a lot out of yourself. Sometimes you can't even put a price on that. Like, how do you put a price on your trauma? It's really strange. So I do respect the fact that you choose to do that and you continue to make the choice to show up. Because showing up requires a lot, taking a lot out of yourself. And that is, I feel like that's different to being a creative person because you're going into the depths of something that's changed you completely as a person.
To go forward, when you just want to go forward.
Yeah, but I guess you mentioned going back and going forward. Do you reckon that it's about going backwards to go forward?
To save other people. But you just want to go, if you had a selfish, back to that selfish mindset again, if I decided, you know what, I'm not a prison to the street, like a lot of my friends do, let me just focus on myself, live my own life, and not worry about doing anything, then I'll be fine. I've got children to raise. Why do I care? I could just save money. I could just get a 9 to 5. Why why make myself vulnerable? Why do
Why
it?
am I doing this anymore?
Whose purpose? Books don't sell that much.
Yeah.
My books are outside there now, and you know what I mean? I know how it goes. I know the industry. It's not.
Yeah.
It's deep. It's deep.
It's really
It's deep.
Is it, and just to add, back to what Yamin said, he raised a good point as well. Like, I was referencing American Airlines because that's a company I know that has budget.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
There's a company, you know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of people that like I've just met along this journey and have believed in me and given me their time for free. And there's a lot of people I've given my time for as well. So that's something that's very important because I also do believe you get what you give, and the more you give, the more
do good, goodness follows.
Yeah.
Do good, goodness follows.
But it all comes down to the individual's choice. That's what makes us. I guess that's why we've been picked in ways to sit on this panel. Is that we embraced our own path. We decided we didn't fit the regular molds, so we'd forge ahead on our own. And in order to do that, we had to create our own decision-making, methods or whatever, and really just take the lead, regardless of what we felt was holding us back. So
Can-
if you want to volunteer to do something, volunteer to do something. If you don't. It's cool.
Yeah.
But act with conviction. Believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will.
Can we talk about some of the things? I'm not sure if we're going into detail as a whole in terms of the challenges. So when we say make our weaknesses our strengths, I couldn't even really read properly. And I didn't want to make it as an excuse for my whole life. Okay, you want to tell a story, how are you going to do this? Okay, got dyslexia, all these other stuff going around me, read only a handful of books in my whole life, probably after writing my first book. So the weaknesses, I said, okay, even now, sitting in this position now, Mama Can't Raise No Man's an amazing book, and I'm so shocked at the response from it. I'm like, okay, maybe you are capable of writing, but how are you going to go harder? How are you going to make your weaknesses your strength? Okay, say to my children, bear witness again. I'm going to read a dictionary and learn a different word in the dictionary. I know slang like the back of my hand. I know slang terminology. I know the new slang, the old slang, you know what I mean? American slang, Jamaican, all day. Do I know English? How can I converse with people if I can't say the word I'm looking for? When I'm frustrated, oh, that's long. What do you mean it's long? So those were some of the weaknesses I realized I had to make my strength. And I'm a boxer before writing, and I've got 2 injuries. And it's with life. It's the concept I want everyone to get. Just giving my example, I want everyone to talk about their weaknesses, what they made strengths. But me, I've got a knee injury. I've had 4 operations on this knee. And when I'm boxing, everyone the jab hand tends to be weaker than their backhand. So I said, okay, how do I want to balance this out? Okay, I do push-ups in a medicine ball with my hand here and make this hand do most of the work. Then I realized, wow, this hand's getting just as strong as the other. So whatever I do on this hand, we all know how it goes. When you have a weakness, same with my leg, do more squats in one leg than I would the other leg. And that's the whole concept of life when we have weaknesses. Weaknesses are supposed to be there. If we had all strengths, I think it would be boring that we don't, you know what I mean, work on our weaknesses. We have to find out who we are.
Hussain, what's your weakness?
You know, I ain't got no. No, I'm gonna add to what you said. You raised a good point. Speaking codes. I got very frustrated. I still get very frustrated because majority of my friends are happy with working in Argos, for the rest of their life, or Uber. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but I believe that you have the mental capability to do a lot more than that. So I can't understand why you'd settle for that. So I had to look into going to what you were saying about words, and I think I said this to you once. When I was studying sociology, there was a sociologist called Basil Bernstein who said there was 2 types of speech codes. There's a restricted code that the working class use, where we'd use shorter words. I'd use my hands and say stuff like, "Oh, that's longer," or "in it," and I'd be like, "Oh, Yamin," you know what I'm saying, hoping he'd understand what I'm saying so I wouldn't have to finish my sentence. And then you have the elaborated code that the middle class use, where longer sentences, words like furthermore, nonetheless, although, more so, whatever, all of that. And them words are more used in papers like EdExcel, AQA. So automatically the exam syllabus is favouring those who are coming from a middle class because of how you're talking at home. So when I'm chilling at home now and my dad's like, "Oh, Pastor," I'm like, "Pastor what?" Talk to me properly because it's important. But then I'm like, I can't hate you because it's not your fault. But now I have to understand, my weakness is I get angry quick at people around me because I was able to learn from, Yamin referenced that he consulted for someone for free. Yeah, that person was me. And when people believed in me, I had to quickly adapt to the fast-paced environment that I was in. I'm not from Hackney, I'm from Ilford. Ilford doesn't have much. So when I come here and Yamin's like, this, I'm like, I'm out of my depth here. But now I go back to Ilford and everyone's just chilling, smoking weed, and I'm just like, I can't get angry at you because this is all you know. Yeah. But how can we change this for the next one? So I guess my weakness is my anger and getting angry at the people I love and care about because they don't do anything with their lives. And trying to turn it into the strength is understanding the greater picture. It's not their fault. It's not their parents' fault. It's the societal structure of the environment we live in has been created to somewhat fail the working class to an extent. And you can break and change that, but that requires a laser-like focus, super determination, the ability to say no to desire and temptation for years and just get on with it. And yeah, I'm just trying to like figure that out.
So I have to clap for
Hey!
I don't like that.
But yeah, that's
That was deep, yeah.
it's the words. It's all in the words.
Malcolm X, I think, said, I can't remember the quote, so I don't even want to try and I don't want to get it wrong. Basically, not to be angry with people who are the same, who basically, what the knowledge you have now, you can't be upset with people for not knowing things that you didn't know. And that was my key thing as someone who's changed his life around. I'm seeing these young kids behaving the way I'm like, but they just don't know.
Yeah.
They got older than me telling them negative. So yeah, I love that.
You put something like that on your story the other day as well.
I did, and I think one of my weaknesses that I'm still working on is that I tend to internalize other people's expectations of me and then turn that into my own expectations. So I literally have a problem with building myself around other people's ideas, and how I overcome that is by literally reclaiming all the things that people have told me are reasons why I will not succeed. So I recently started this hashtag called Saggy Boobs Matter, and why I...
Hold on, wait, I just need to say, this is not just a hashtag, this is a worldwide movement. She is a beast. She is on every major publication across the world. She's so humble, she keeps it so real, but like she doesn't have a publicist, she doesn't have a PR. She has a beautiful brain and she knows how to use it. And please, if you don't know about her, you need to check her out.
Check out the.
You need to, like, it is an essential
check
part
out
of
the
your life.
BBC interview that you just did, the one that was on the homepage.
Or the article on Ellie.
You badded it up.
Is that Ellie?
Elle magazine, yeah. So why I created that hashtag is because basically I used to just get bullied by people. People come up to me and be like, why are your boobs so saggy? I'm like, I don't know, I didn't create myself. Why are you asking me that question? Like, why is your forehead big? You don't know either. Like, we don't know. No one knows. Like, we're just here, innit? And it's weird that you're in a position where you have to explain yourself when you didn't even create yourself. And I always thought this is really strange that I feel like I'm less valuable because people have been taught to view me in a certain way. And that was when I had to learn, similar to what you guys said earlier, is that people just don't know. They don't know. Like, they just don't know how to think otherwise. And so you have to start that conversation. And I decided it was time for me to start that conversation and take ownership and reclaim my power by being like, hey, this is something that people have told me I should be ashamed of, but I'm not ashamed of it. And here's why you shouldn't be ashamed either, because you're just like me, you feel like me, you think like me, you look like me, we're all the same. And I was really scared to start this conversation of Saggy Boobs Matter because I thought people would laugh at it because it sounds funny and it sounds ridiculous, because of course there are bigger problems with the world. People are dying, black people are dying. But also, in our own lives, we have our own problems, and just because the world has got a lot going on doesn't mean that your problems aren't valuable or valid. And so I thought, I'm going to start this conversation, and I don't care if people laugh at me or tell me that I've always got something to be mad about, because it's okay to be mad about something. What matters is how you choose to approach your madness. Like, are you going to do something about it? Are you going to seek solutions, or are you just going to be angry at everyone for no reason? And so I thought, okay, I'm going to start this conversation. And before I knew it, I had so many people messaging me like, oh my goodness, my boobs are saggy too. But because you have come up and been like, wow, my boobs are saggy and I'm really young, it's made me realize that there's nothing wrong with how I look because you look like me. And now I feel a little bit happier to know that someone else looks like me and feels like me, because what creates our insecurities is feeling like you don't look like anyone else, and that makes you feel excluded and isolated. But when you choose to start that conversation, you realize that you actually become a leader without even trying to become a leader, because people look at you and you represent everything that they're scared of, and they'll either run away from you or come up to you and want to be around you. And that's why I think that for me was a weakness. Like, having saggy boobs was a weakness, but now I've empowered myself by reclaiming it, because you can't come for me if I have literally been like, hey, this is it, right, come on then. No one's going to do that anymore. Like, if you give someone a reason to attack you, they're less likely to want to do it. If you're like, go on and fight me, they're less likely to want to do it, because now you've handed them that power. They want to take it from you. But you have to be like, this is my power, this is my story, I'm going to tell it my way. You don't have to like it, you don't have to agree, you don't even have to understand, but this matters to someone, and before you know it, you start to generate a larger conversation that's even larger than yourself. And I think that's how you turn weakness into something that becomes powerful, by choosing to be vulnerable and choosing to understand that there is a bigger picture outside of people's opinions, and that They may not understand, but they're still benefiting from it. And that's the downside. It's like, it's annoying that people who will try to stop you don't understand that they're still benefiting from what you're doing, because you are slowly making the world a safer place by choosing to speak up, and they're benefiting from that, even though they're still attacking you at the same time because they don't know any better.
Wow. That was deep.
Tell them again.
I don't know why no one ain't clapping. I just don't want to.
I'm
just like, yeah, that's true. That's mad.
Lucy, what about you?
I think I've got two main weaknesses in like, specifically in like my day to day, and one of them is kind of on a similar vein to yours. I really want to be liked, and I've always really, really wanted to be liked.
I appreciate you being honest about that.
I didn't even notice until this year, like until like 2017. I was just like, oh, I just go along with everything, and I just do all the things, and obviously that fed into being on YouTube, where people are constantly telling you what they want you to be. People think I'm really book smart. I'm not. I've been in a really fortunate position where I've been able to, like, I've been encouraged to get a degree, and I've got a degree, and I'm on a podcast which talks about books, but I don't read. Like, it feels really embarrassing for people to think that you're like, I don't know, they hold you up on a pedestal and to play up to it, I think. But yeah, no, I just really want to be liked. And then the other day my therapist was like, Lucy, do you want to be liked or do you want to be respected? Because you kind of have to choose. There's a point that comes where, yeah, you have to actually stand up for what you believe is right. And I was like, wish I'd heard that when I was in school.
Yeah.
But no, that was really good. And the other thing I'd say, my weaknesses is my relationship in general with like addictive things.
I saw a post you made about sobriety.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I was sober for 100 days this time last year. And then from then I've just been like, I wouldn't say I'm an alcoholic, but I would say like I'm on a process of working out what my relationship with alcohol is, and I don't think we talk about that enough. I think it's a very blanket statement at the moment where you're either fine with alcohol or you are an alcoholic and you're in AA. And I tried AA and I did all that stuff, and I didn't quite fit any of it. So I'm on a journey. I'm on a personal journey, and I'm lucky that I'm able to do that, and that it didn't get so bad. But that's a lot of that experience is having to really tune in with myself and go, okay, how am I feeling? Can I have another drink? Is this a really bad idea? Do I even want to drink this evening? And having other people helping you as well and keeping you in check. I invested in therapy. Like that kind of process has been really challenging for me personally, and really hard to put online as well. Hardly ever want to share it, but really, really valuable and has really improved my life.
I really appreciate that honesty, because it's true, we don't talk about things like addiction enough, because it's not even about alcohol, it's more about the fact that you have a problem with your relationship with control and power over yourself, and it comes from a deeper problem, and we aren't taught enough to explore patterns of our behaviour. We aren't taught that, so we're blindly repeating patterns and then not knowing how to go backwards. It's about constantly going forward, but also while going forward, reviewing each step you take and asking yourself, why am I taking this step? Where do I want this to lead me? Who's this going to affect? Am I living at my highest form of my truth? Like all these things, we aren't taught to do that enough. We aren't taught self-review and introspection. And by the time, we're only taught that when it goes wrong. And for some people, it's too late for them. And I think it's really important that you've raised that point and that we're having this conversation, because I don't think it's ever too late to start again, or try again.
And I think as well, just on the subject of vulnerability, the only way that I was able to get people to stop encouraging me to drink when I was sober was to tell them straight out, I'm sober at the moment. And I think that's a horrible thing to have to tell people, because in our society, I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel alcohol is everywhere. Yeah, and the only way that you will be asked not to drink, you're either pregnant or you're on antibiotics. So I literally made a video and sent it to everyone I knew and was like, this is where I'm at the moment, please don't ask. And being that vulnerable was actually the best thing I did, because it helped so many other people, and it helped myself, because I never had to justify or explain or launch into discussions about ethics of it, or I don't even know. It was ridiculous. So yeah, being vulnerable can be really beneficial in those situations.
Definitely. What's your weakness
then? It's going back to what you were saying earlier. From when I was young, I was big bro to people who were bigger than me, stronger than me, smarter than me.
people will come to me and seek help, guidance, advice, answers that I didn't have. And that's translated into my adult life, into my career. People bring their problems to me and I solve them. They bring their issues to me, or they bring things that they want to achieve or accomplish next, and I help make them happen. But that's all tied in with what you were saying earlier about imposter syndrome. I've made up everything I've ever done. I've every single day, I feel like I'm making the script up as I go along, with no proof or idea of whether or not what will happen next will be successful. And every day, I wonder if today is the day that I'm going to be found out. But the only thing that stops that from crippling me in what I'm able to do is that often I'm willing to do what you're not. I'm willing to take the jump that you weren't ready to take yet. And as a producer, a lot of that is me holding your hand and saying, come, you don't want to do it on your own? Let's do it together.
Yeah.
And hoping that I'm not wrong. But in the back of my mind, it still exists. I can't pretend it's not there. And now how that affects me as I get older, as I have more experience of this strange community I find myself in, of achievers, of people who have done amazing things such as yourselves, is that I find myself becoming more cynical, more pessimistic, more journalistic against the people that I meet, more biased, wondering what people's intentions are. And that's now the process of discovery that I find myself in. Trying to go back to the mentality I had when I was young, where I introduced myself and met people with no prior judgment of who they were.
Yeah.
And that goes back to what you were saying, Lucy, about addiction. A lot of that will be because you don't look like an alcoholic.
Oh yeah.
So people, and we all do. We all categorize people. You don't fit. You don't fit that. That's not what you look like. That's why we're fighting so hard. Oh, listen. In my industry, that's why I have to fight so hard just to be seen on the same level as somebody who have achieved so much more than. Because I don't look like my competitors. So I forgot what the question was. But
What your weaknesses, but
there you go. That's
So how do you guys handle rejection? Because
badly.
yeah.
Badly.
Badly still.
For me, I've found a way that I think me and you, Hussain, we've had so many inside jokes about rejection, and we've been like, don't worry, don't come back, and then they come back and then we have an inside joke about that. So I think the thing about rejection I've learned as a coping mechanism is to understand that sometimes no means not yet, and also if someone tells you no, that could be the no that you really needed to hear. Like, no isn't necessarily a bad thing, because you think something is for you, or you think you need something because of an idea that you've built around it, you've romanticized it in your head. But sometimes the reality of it and how much it's going to take out of you and how much it's going to change you, you don't think about that. You don't think about the fact that you are boxing yourself into this idea and that you aren't opening yourself up to other possibilities, because if something doesn't work out for you, it doesn't mean that you aren't a good person. It just means that didn't work out, but it means that you have an opportunity to try again elsewhere, or even try again at a later time. It's an opportunity to learn. Like, I'm trying to view everything in life right now as an opportunity to learn, whether that's in a relationship, or whether that's in me applying for something, whether that's me even like following someone on Twitter. I want everything to be about learning. I want everything to be about me taking something out of it that will change me, something that will contribute to the person that I want to be, because every single person you interact with brings out a different side of you. And when it comes to being a creative person and putting so much of yourself into something and feeling like the rejection means that you aren't good enough, that is I think what divides us as those who really want to do it and those who are meant for it, and those who are doing it because they're chasing an idea. Because I feel like if no from someone else is something that stops you, maybe you really don't want it.
No, I agree with you completely. rejection is something I have a really close relationship with. I got rejected from the unis I wanted to go to, the places I wanted to work, the media agencies that I wanted, everything. And I just had to keep telling myself, you just have to keep going, and if this becomes a movie one day, it's going to be really amazing. Because it's meant to be like this. And the other day, it was quite emotional, in fact. There was a person who really claimed to believe in me. He's super wealthy, and I went to him and I asked him for some money to invest in my project. £10,000 to a multi-millionaire. I went there with a proper deck, like I went like Dragon's Den, I came prepared, everything. And he said no, he completely said no. And it wasn't even like a no, like not now, it was just a no, like I'm not giving you the money. And I was like, that's really interesting, because someone who claims to be supporting me in so many ways really doesn't actually support me at all, and really just wants to say he was there when there was nothing, just in case one day it pops off so you can say he was supporting me. So literally when that happened, my response when I left that meeting room was, Hussain, I was like, Hussain, don't hate the man whose brain can't comprehend greatness before it's happened. I was like, and that's what I just have to keep telling myself. He can't see it, that's not my problem. I just have to look past it. And one person that really actually believed in me was Yamin, right? And it's rare. It's very rare to find genuine people that believe in you. I remember the first time I emailed him, I called him Yasmin. And when I met him,
you know how much that happens to me, and it gets me so mad.
And then when I met him, yeah, he was like, yeah, don't do that again. And I was like, oh shit, sorry. And I basically had an idea. That I wanted to do an event all about mental health, the world's largest mental health lesson. Literally, the idea was no longer than a paragraph on an email. And he met me, he helped me develop it, and we set the Guinness World Record in Hackney Empire 5 months later. And people like that are so rare to come by, but they exist. So thank you very much for believing in me. And yeah, I just think rejection is, because when you like, for example, when you meet someone after so many rejections, I'm like, you ain't going nowhere. I'm keeping you close, and you build up that relationship of like, wow, I'm not that mad now because someone else sees it. And it just goes back to, I don't know who said it, but like crazy is genius until genius is crazy. Or if it's the other way around, you get what I'm saying. But just keep going. You just have to. There's no choice. You don't have a choice. If you really want it and you really believe it's for you, you will keep going.
For me, rejection was all I knew. Well, I can't say all I know. That sounds bad. That sounds like my mum didn't do her job. Rejection was something I experienced with my father when I first left. When I was in care by the age of 15. And I got stabbed and my friends ran and left me. And that was my second family after my first family. Rejection was my surname. It was in me. Schools, kicked out of every single school. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want you, suspended, all the rest of it. Like, all I knew was rejection at one stage in my life. And then on this journey now, what I've realized is that this is a creative journey. I think as an individual, I came to find that when it comes to my art separate from myself and how I felt about rejection, I think I carried that attitude into the writing. So when I first started writing, I was like, is this good? And I passed around my book before it came out, and people said, this is fire, this isn't good, good's an understatement. I still didn't believe in my own hype or whatever people were saying. I even released the book, got over 100 5-star reviews, and I'm still asking people, do you like the book? This is what it is. But I'm a very real person, and I'm a person, if something isn't good, my children are the audience, so I'm not gonna, it says in the Bible, I'm not really saying I'm a Christian, but it says in the Bible, if you do good, I will tell you you've done good. I think Cain and Abel. I think Abel did good, and God said you did good with your offering, and I can't remember the story, but Cain didn't do as good in God's eyes. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't do good. It just means that you didn't do good in his eyes. So, you know what I mean? Go back and better yourself. Don't go and kill your brother. Just go and back to the drawing board, you know what I mean? And how can I better myself rather than envy the next person or that hatred or feel this way about myself? And I came to a place a while ago where I realized what's funny is not everyone is going to be honest with themselves. Like, I was good at football. Am I the best? Yeah, I was up there. I was doing boxing. Was I the best? Well, I've boxed with some of the best boxers in the country. I've sparred a Ghanaian champion, and before they told me he was a champion, I beat him up. But when they told me he was a champion, mentally, it did something to me, and I started boxing different. So, for me, the rejection is so intricate, because what's his name? Michael Jordan said, not everyone will be considered the greatest salesman or whatever it is, but as long as you do the best what you could do, then you'll be considered a success. I can't remember the quote. You'll have to Google these things. Michael Jordan, something quote about success. Yeah, and it's very inspiring, because we could take it all personal. But the only person who can criticize me now, where I care, is me. Like, if I give a piece of work to my publisher and she says it's not good enough, I say, okay, I hear you. Doesn't mean I agree with you. I hear you. We look at it together, we debate it, and we break it down as to why. And she might convince me something, okay, you're right, let's change that. I get what you're saying. And then it becomes better. Rejection can empower you if you have the understanding to listen. Not everyone's against you. Like, some people put out rap albums and then they say everyone's hating. No, you're crap, you can't rap. It's not, no disrespect. Maybe try something else. I'm not being funny, I'm very real, I'm very direct. That's not your forte. Or go back to the drawing board and figure out why you're crap right now. Because my friends, I've got friends who rap, who say to me, like, yeah, Rob, hear this tune. It's rubbish, you're 30 odd and there's no substance. But your flow's good though. So you could work with that. Even that song, I don't want to end no beef. Great catchy song. I'm singing it on stage right now like I'm promoting these guys. But the message, what do you mean you don't want to squash no beef? Do you understand? So for me, we have to look at criticism, take it, and use it to maximize your potential. We're talking about making your weaknesses your strength. Suck in all the rejection. Take it all in, taking all the self-doubt, taking all the insecurities, taking all your weaknesses and just turn it on its head. So yeah, rejection's good. Rejection is good.
Lucy, how do you deal with rejection as a YouTuber and someone that, because I've seen where, certain campaigns will happen and people will be like, oh, why wasn't this person picked for it? Or like, oh my God, this person's way better. But how do you sort of remain level-headed and grounded in a space that's all about your value being attached to what you can offer?
Good question. I don't maintain my head a lot. I think I see rejection as something that, as we were saying, like, is something to be learned from, and is a learning experience. But then I think a big part of the task that I have at the moment, and I'm sure everyone else on this panel does, and everyone in this room, is deciphering the helpful rejection, or the helpful criticism and the unhelpful criticism. It's like what I said earlier, like, and I'm preaching to the choir here with the kind of criticism you receive, Choudury, and like, you really have to filter what's constructive and what you can really learn from and what you can't, and like, or the people turning you away who just don't understand where you're at yet, or what you believe in yet, or can't align with your vision, and the people who are trying to help you by saying no, and are trying to say, look, come back in a year, come back in 2 years, or 6 months, or whatever, or develop your idea in return. Yeah, it's an ongoing process, I think. But as we've continually said, it's looking in on yourself, properly thinking about, is this actually the right direction I'm taking?
Yeah.
And the only person that can tell you that is you.
Yeah.
Can I add one little sentence? Sometimes people reject you and your ideas because they are petrified you're going to take over. Literally, they know, they see something so great within you, they're looking at you. And I don't even call it hating, because it's not hate. I don't even classify it as that word hating. People say, oh, they're hating on me. It's genuine fear. Like, yeah, please. I see a hand raised at my periphery. Yeah.
People want to see you do well.
Yeah.
True.
Say that again?
That quote, yeah.
People want to see you do well.
And that's generically speaking, but yeah, I get the quote, but definitely there's people like Yamin who want to actually see you do better than this. You know what I mean? So yeah, but I get 100%. And that's it. When sometimes someone might see the greatness in you, I've seen it at boxing. I'm not being funny. I've seen it at football. We've all seen it. Everyone in this room. I don't know if it's just me. We've seen it at school where we've seen someone be better than someone at something, and even the bully, the school bully, he wants to keep you scared of him because he's scared you might beat him up. So let me go and instill that intimidation quickly. What are you looking at? Because he's the size of Anthony Joshua. You know, I've seen it everywhere, in the playground, in prison. I've seen it everywhere. So yeah, rejection sometimes because people are scared of what the greatness that you have. They see something in you that you don't see in yourself.
To wrap up, can everyone give a tip on how to look after yourself, like as in looking after your mind? Because mine would be to just learn to know when to stop, and also learn that stopping doesn't mean that you've quit. It just means that you've paused and that you need to go and regenerate yourself and look after yourself, because it doesn't matter how great you are. Like, we have this fear of being forgotten, especially with the internet now. It's so urgent. You feel like if you disappear or come offline for 2 days, then someone else is going to learn exactly what you've learned to do and then do it better than you and take your spot. But then you have to also remember that there's such a thing as burnout. And when you burn out, that's scary because it actually physically affects you. You feel sick, your sleeping pattern changes, and you know, you start having to forcefully say no to things because your body is literally wrecked. And that's the point where it becomes unhealthy. So I think my tip is just knowing that, yeah, stopping doesn't mean that you're quitting, and that a break is just as necessary as a breakthrough as well.
I think see all of your creativity as a process, not as trying to achieve a final product. In response to burnout, last year I burnt out really hard. I had to go back to the drawing board about exactly, because YouTube, and I'm sure all the internet that you do, or if you're creating on the internet, you're expected to make stuff at an editorial pace, once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, churn it out. I was churning, I'm a one-man team, stupid idea. And I really had to go back to the drawing board this year and go, okay, do a month trial on this content program, like do more of this thing, how does that work? Do more of that thing, do more of that thing, and just piece the jigsaw puzzle together until I was at a point I was comfortable with. And so I think if you see your creativity as a journey and it's kind of linear and it's going towards something that has stop-offs and whatever, I think that will be so much more healthy mentally for you in the long run than kind of putting your whole everything into what you think is the number one goal and achievement. I don't know.
You do know. That was true.
For me, it would be what you guys were talking about at the beginning of this talk. Embrace your capability. You lot have just spoken about, we've just spoken about rejection. How do you deal with that? Obviously, people saying no to me just makes me work harder, same as everybody else here. I'm prepared for people to say no. I'm not always prepared for them to say yes. I'm not always willing to know that I can still achieve more. I can grow. I can become better. I believe it, but I don't always behave in that way. I need to do that as well. I need to be aware of that I can achieve more, that I need to reflect the belief that other people sometimes show in me, in myself, if that makes sense. So yeah, believe in yourself.
What are you saying?
Just to say one thing off what Yamin said, like, I came to a point where I've faced so many rejections. The last time someone said yes to me, my eyes got watery because I genuinely couldn't believe it. So that it's a real thing, like what happened to you, all of us. My thing that I would say to advise piece for you to take care of yourself is get to terms with acceptance quick. Life will take a lot from you. It will take your hair, it will take your family, it will take the people you love. And it's all natural, it's all just a part of life, do you know what I'm saying? It would take, but it will take, and it will keep taking. But accept it, and you can't control it. That's one thing I would say is we should come to terms with quickly. Because like, you will lose your parents, you will lose your siblings, you will lose your pets, you will lose... One day, you will lose the person you love the most. And it's about accepting that that is out of your control.
Unless you go first, that's all.
Yeah, it's true, unless you go first. But it's true, like, I would just say, make the most of every moment you have. And in your personal life, we're not God. Do Do you know what I'm saying? We can't control everything. You can't even control what you're going to eat. Like, you might think you're eating Jaffa cakes, you open the fridge and find, I don't know, Nutella, I don't know what you eat. I don't know what you eat. But you know what I'm saying? Just accept things for what it is and focus on what you can control. And that's, I think, is the most valuable thing I could say to you all.
I don't know what to say. That was all powerful. Can't we just wrap it up there?
Like, you got something.
I don't know, just kind of take it easy. Bob Marley says, like, don't worry about nothing, everything's going to be alright. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it is going to be alright, but inevitably it is alright. Like, quickly before, I've been in some dark places, you know what I mean? I don't want to spoil my story for people. I've been in some dark places as a young person. And sometimes I'm sitting here thinking I could tell the darkest stories, tell you whatever it is. Forget the work, I'm alive. Like, forget anything else. Like, I woke up this morning, that's a big deal. One of my friends got stabbed 2 weeks ago, he's dead. And his child's on the way. Like, I've come a long way. I've seen many friends, and I know that's not something to really compare your life to and say, yeah, well, I'm still here and my friends are not here. But yeah, I'm grateful for that. You know what I mean? I'm grateful to see my children grow. Grateful that my children are here in the audience and I'm taught I never envisioned this, you know what I mean? So forget everything else. Sometimes it's just enjoy the moment. And that was, had this preached to me, Yamin, from book launching, who did it. Mama Can't Raise No Money. A lot of people around you say, Rob, you've got to learn to live in the moment. And that has rung so true to me. Live in the moment. Don't create anxieties. Don't create stress. Hey, here today, gone tomorrow. So let's make today last long by enjoying. That's it.
Thank you so much. Do you guys have any questions? Hi, go on.
In the sense of, like, it just got
Like, just
aired.
airtime. Yeah.
Not online, but my first ever American performance, when I performed in America, because I talk quite quick and they don't really understand my accent and the words I use. Like, I was dropping some deep shit and I heard someone in the audience say, what he said? I was just like, yeah, it kind of hit me, but that was because I'd like to believe it was because of a communication problem. But I would just say, with regards to writing and poetry and stuff, just write stuff that connects to your own soul. Don't ever write to please somebody else, unless it's like a love letter that you want to do or something. But I would just say, just write for yourself, and just because the people around you don't understand it, doesn't mean you won't find a tribe of people that do one day. Do you know what I'm saying? Because there's people out there that will, like Choudury's movement, like I'm pretty sure it's not poetry, but in a sense it's art, the fact that she created this movement called Saggy Blues Matter, and maybe no one on her road could understand it, but people across the world have.
I mean, like, my mum doesn't even rate me at all. Like, I still wash plates at home, and, like, I'm like, Mum, I'm verified on Instagram, can't even talk about that. But then it's funny because, like, no, but then why I'm making that point is because just because someone doesn't give you the response you want doesn't mean that your work isn't good. It just probably means they don't understand the source of that kind of greatness. They don't know how to connect to that. Doesn't mean it's not good, it just means they don't know how to connect to it. But the only way to become great is to just keep on hammering at it, keep on hammering, even if it's just like a little nudge each time, just keep hammering at it because you enjoy doing it and you know what it does for you. Ultimately, it always comes back to you, like, what does it do for you?
Also, if you're really a creative, and by that I mean you create anything, whatever you do, a lot of the time you're gonna throw stuff out there and you're just gonna be met with silence. That doesn't mean it's bad. Sometimes it just means that they're not ready. So just because you don't hear nothing back the first time, don't then throw that away and think, yeah, that one didn't work. Maybe keep pushing that, because you might be surprised of how many people, if you put it in different areas, will respond.
You had a question? Yeah.
You see, when you started YouTube, how long did it take you to get
That's a really good question.
I love how specific,
No,
1K.
Because 1K in 2 years, that took 2 years, and the graph here's your graph, goes up like this. So like the 1K is the longest, and then as you gain momentum, you'll grow. So on the subject of, let's say you put a poem up and no one saw it. Yeah, I put like 60 videos up and no one saw them. And use that time to better your craft and what you're good at, because you can keep up. You can keep writing once a week, 3 times a week, whatever. And that's really precious time where no one's really seeing it yet, but you're improving, and the people that do see it, it will slowly gain momentum over time. I think that's So whatever you're starting on the internet that's creative, just keep at it, even when the numbers are really low and there's hardly any feedback, because you will gain momentum.
And also, for all of you, question for all of you, has laziness ever stopped you from doing it?
Yeah.
I have to answer this one. Every day. Every single day, I struggle to get out of my bed. I have to fight. If I don't fight for that, then I wouldn't achieve nothing. So every day, I fight with half of me who says, come, let's just lay on a little bit longer.
But also, for me, I think laziness stops me, but part of my laziness is actually fear. It comes back to fear again. It's like, I'm scared. Let me go for the easier option of just saying no to that and stay at home and sleep. I mean, I've done all this cool stuff anyway. I can rely on that. No, you can't. I'm not doing that. You got to be like, no, you can't afford to get complacent now, because you're in a position where you're young and you know exactly what you're doing now. So it's time to just maintain that momentum. But I think laziness is just, it's a thing of comfort, isn't it? And I think when you want to leave your comfort zone, it requires you actually letting go of what makes you feel safe. And I don't know, like no one wants to like leave safety. No one wants to leave the light and go into darkness for no reason. You kind of feel like that's what you're doing, but I guess it's about understanding the bigger picture and understanding what it is you're trying to achieve, and knowing that you've been given a skill that nobody else has, and that you're on a mission here to do something and that no one else can do it. And if you don't do it, then the world's going to be very different without you doing it.